Hey YouTube, Untamed here. So something a little different for you guys today. I wanted to share this beautiful 1997 4Runner with you. This is a limited and in pretty good shape overall. So I want to kind of walk through it with you, show you the outside, show you the inside, and of course compare it to my 2021 4Runner TRD Pro, the 5th gen here. But first I figured I would kind of just launch with a little bit of the real brief history on the different generations of 4Runners. You know, just kind of do the, I guess, high level comparison, you know, stat numbers just for your reference as we kick off this video. So as a refresher, as a reminder, Gen 1, Zeke, sorry, dog's wandering. So the Gen 1 4Runner started back in 1984 and it went until 1989. Gen 2 was from 1990 to 1995. Then of course here's the Gen 3, this is a 97, but they started in 96 and went to 2002. Gen 4 was from 03 to 09, and then Gen 5, of course, is from 09 to present. And you know, they all kind of get a little bit long in the tooth, but for good reason. You know, they have such a great reputation of being reliable. But of course, we'll kind of dig into that a little bit more as we go on. The engine differences between them: this does have the 3.4, being the four-wheel drive limited, the Gen 3 here. So the 3.4 liter V6 cranking out, I believe, if I recall correctly, this one has about 180 horsepower, a little bit over 180 horsepower with, I think, 215, 217, if I recall the torque for it. So we've come a little bit of a ways with the current gen, not too far. We have obviously the 4 liter in the 5th gen here, cranking out 270 horsepower and 278 torque. One thing that I always kind of find interesting is the weight differences. So obviously, just looking at them, if you do side by side, look at this big guy over here. You know, these look rather small by comparison, right? This is and that tends to be the case with most vehicles, right? Even like the M3 that started out so tiny, and then of course nowadays they're just pretty big and bulky. But that's obviously the case with this one here. So this guy right here weighs, I think, right around 3,700 to 3,800 pounds, and this, the 5th gen, if I recall, is about 1,000 pounds more. I think maybe a little bit less of that, 900 pounds more. But still, that's quite the difference between the two, you know, especially since they're essentially the same rig, right? So I thought that was kind of interesting, just highlighting the weight difference between them. The price difference. So back in 1997, this guy right here costs just under $34,000 as spec. The limited, the 4-wheel drive, right around $34,000. I don't know what how easy it was to kind of get rebates and discounts on them back then. I have no idea. Whereas nowadays, you know, it's a little bit tougher, especially for the TRD Pro. Obviously, getting that below MSRP tends to be a little bit of a chore nowadays. But I bring up price on purpose because, you know, these 4Runners right here, the 3rd gen in particular, all of them to some degree, but the 3rd gen more so, I would argue, tends to be the favorite amongst the enthusiasts. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but overall this tends to be I guess the one that's growing most in popularity right now, and for a number of reasons. You know, it is simplicity at its core. I mean, it has, you know, bare bones everything, and people just love it. You know, the off-road prowess is there, has the rear locker on this one in particular. The list goes on. So I'll show you a little bit of the interior too and kind of talk through that here in a second. But the fact that, you know, you could spend $34,000 on it, how long ago? I'm not going to do public math. Was that 24 years now? So 24 years old this rig is, and still to this day these tend to fetch pretty high numbers. I mean, it's not uncommon for people to be asking anywhere from $7,000 to $12,000, $13,000 for these if they're in good shape and good condition, which, you know, I would argue this one is for the most part. It definitely has some bumps and bruises throughout it, but if you can find one with minimal rust, you know, minimal damage, of course, you know, the interior, the driver's seat tends to get worn out pretty quick in these. Yeah, if you can find them in good shape, definitely jump on them, because they're becoming pretty sparse these days, because, you know, that overlanding community is definitely making these extra popular nowadays, with the whole overlanding gig becoming increasingly popular. So the fact that, you know, they've held value so well, I think is a testament to Toyota at large, but is also kind of a testament to, you know, the 4Runner TRD Pros too. I mean, right? I mean, you can buy a used TRD Pro a used one with probably 20,000 miles on it and spent only like $5,000 or $6,000 less, if that, than you would have purchased it brand new. Not many vehicles can you do that with, right? I mean, normally when you drive a vehicle off the lot, you lose 20% of its value the next day, right? So that is a major reason to consider getting a 4Runner, and especially the TRD Pro, just being a little bit more the limited variant, and just harder to come by, more desirable, if you will, to most folks. But anyway, let me hop in here and I'll show you a little more of the details. Gonna give you the little side swipe there. So this one is no exception to the whole seat wear, but if you are a third gen 4Runner enthusiast, and if you've been looking at one or been looking at them, you know that this really isn't terrible. And a lot of you are probably watching it and you're like, if you're not into these normally, you're probably like, what the heck, that looks awful. But this is among the semi-good category, if we're being honest. Normally this right here is just totally ripped to shreds, and this of course is in pieces. That is a common sight, unfortunately. But this overall not too bad. The passenger seat tends to survive a little bit better, of course. I'll show you. I mean, just look how ancient this feels. Isn't it crazy that just within a couple decades we have come this far? And I'll of course bop over to the TRD Pro over there just to kind of show you side by side. And realistically, you guys know the TRD Pro is super dated too. I shouldn't say super, but it's dated feeling too. There's a manual 4-wheel drive select, of course automatic. I believe these are the gosh, I should have really done more fact checking before that. I think it's a 4-speed automatic. This particular one is a Canadian model, so it has 315,000 kilometers, almost 316,000, which equates to about, I guess, 200-ish, maybe just under 200,000 miles, right? This right here is a gem, that rear diff locker. So I'm just going to kind of highlight all the details here for fun. So no, this one is not going to be sticking around the channel or anything, but I figured I'd still kind of show it side by side with mine there. Admittedly, I have owned two of these though before. I had a 1998, which I actually have a video of on my YouTube channel from several years ago, before I was, I guess, actively posting stuff, which is just me walking around the thing, and it's terrible video quality. But I had a 1998 SR5, black as well, and it was a manual transmission with, and I didn't even realize how, I guess, exclusive those were at the time. Obviously now, several years later, it's even more exclusive, of course, so people absolutely love them. And then I ended up buying, I'll show you back here for fun. I admit I do love the gold on black. I think that looks sweet. Original struts, and they're, oh, look at that. Got a killer spider. You can't see it. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and, should we try to attack it on camera? We've all seen this movie before. I think we got him. We got him, team. Okay. All right. So there's the back of it. So I actually bought I can't remember the year. It might have been a 99 or a 2000. It was a green limited, or it actually might have been, I forget if it was a sport. It had the hood scoop, so it looked just like this. It was that green, which I love, that, like the emerald green. I forget, that's probably not the color name, but dog feature. But I love the fact that it had the hood scoop on it. I thought that looked pretty cool. It was an automatic as well, the one that I had. And this is a very Untamed like story. I ended up buying it before having to go down south for several months for work, and I purposely bought it before going down there because I had just gotten the Raptor, the Ford Raptor, my white one, my 2019, and I was like, you know what, I don't want to put 4,000 3,000 miles on this thing like right after buying it. It just didn't feel right. So I thought I'd just pick up one of these real fast for like $4,000, if you will. It was in definitely rougher shape than this one, but it was still cool, you know. 250,000 miles on it. And, you know, I didn't want to put all the miles on the Raptor, so I bought that so I can drive that down there with, you know, semi peace of mind, and then come back and then probably just sell it when I get back home. And that was my goal, or my intent, I should say. And then what really happened was, this is where the Untamed side comes out. When I was down there, I was in Alabama, I ended up trading it in for a 2019 4Runner TRD Pro. If you remember my white one that I had before, my other white one, gosh, that's ugly to say, but I had the, you know, the 2019, and I ended up trading it in for that while I was down there. I forget what it was, maybe a Memorial Day weekend sale that they had there, and they were willing to drop it down. I think it was like $1,500 below MSRP at the time, my 2019 that I bought. So that was a big deal to me, and they gave me exactly what I paid for my 99 there. So it worked out well. Obviously, a moot point at this point, but still. So let's jump in the 21 here. Forgive me for my returning subscribers. You know exactly what this looks like. I did put the RSG flat rock sliders on. You guys know that, with the traction plates, cuts, and with the kick out here. So the rear kick out. And excuse me, this is going to be pretty dirty right now, as Mrs. Untamed and the children are often in here, and it's just utter chaos. So this is the center stack. Forgive me, it's pretty dusty there, but even still, this is, you guys know, this is pretty basic these days. You know, like we still have these giant knobs for the temperature and the you know, these giant buttons down here, which are, I love that. I love the fact that you don't have to navigate within the screen here to actually get to the climate controls. And that was honestly among my very, very, very few gripes that I had. Honestly, it's probably within my only like 2 or 3 gripes that I had about the Land Cruiser, is you had to actually get within the screen to truly control the climate. So this is extra simplistic by comparison. I've never been a fan of this kind of faux carbon fiber down here. I think I'm meowed about that enough, but overall, I mean, I love how straightforward this is. You got your seat heaters there. Always have to double check if I'm saying that right, seat heaters, because I'm always saying seat or heat seaters there. And this is the glorious manual 4-wheel drive engagement bar or shifter there. And again, nothing to write home to mom about, especially with pre-2020 models. If you remember, they don't even have the updated stack. I'll fire it up. So this right here, just like that high resolution, cool display there, was huge when they implemented that back in 2020. Like that was a long time ago. But even before that, it just looked ancient, super pixelated. You guys remember, you know, me sharing videos of my Voodoo Blue one that I had. So this is a huge improvement in my opinion. And even the gauges, you know, a lot less bulky with the numbers and stuff. So I think this looks great. But I love the fact, I mean, you even get your little, your clock right here. And you just hit a couple buttons to adjust it. I mean, that's just becoming a thing of the past, you know. Sunroof. So we've come a long way from just having a rear diff locker. So we've got all the goodies up there, which, yeah, I dissected previously, so I won't beat that up in this video either. Pop the hood. So this one, sorry, every time I lift that up, it reminds me that the 2017 and current generation Tacoma does not have these automatic, or the struts, right? So these struts here is not in my Tacoma, and it just baffles me every single time. They have them in the Land Cruiser, they have them in the Tundra, but it's just like a kind of odd that they didn't put it in the Tacoma. Anyway, so this is that 4.0, like I told you, yeah, 270 horsepower, 278 torque. So pretty, again, it's becoming long in the tooth at this point. We'll pop the hood over here, but super reliable. If it's not broke, why fix it? Oh, let me pull the right one. Fuel door, both sides on the left for both vehicles. So this one, I don't know how I'm gonna do this with one hand. Let's try to figure it out. All right, so let's kind of hold it up and show you. So there's a little dirty, but you'd expect that for a 24-year-old girl. But you know, super reliable. You know, as long as you're changing the timing belt and, you know, performing good maintenance, which this one in particular has had a really good maintenance history. You know, and keeping an eye on the head gaskets, and those tend to be the main issues that go wrong with them. So overall, super durable platform. And again, it's just a matter of keeping an eye underneath them, making sure that, and making sure you're not getting any rust, and just kind of being careful with that. So I think I dissected both of them plenty. I just want to share this with you, as I don't typically have a 3rd gen 4Runner in my driveway. So with that, I'll leave it there and just ask you with one question. I mean, what is your favorite generation 4Runner and why? So as always, I appreciate you watching. Until next time.